What is going on, people? It's your boy Astro, aka the Galaxy Shogun, coming here to you today with a very special review. It could be no other. The One Piece Netflix live action. Now, I know this is a little late. I finished it maybe about a week ago, but I wanted to take my time, sit on it, and kind of reflect on the pros and cons of this live action. I think that what we can say for sure to start is that this live action definitely exceeded many people's expectations. I was somebody that was pretty tied to the production and, seeing the tweet updates, seeing the dedication that the showrunners had for the source material, and obviously I was very aware of the involvement that Oda had in picking the cast and making sure everything went smoothly and as planned to, of course, avoid another Dragon Ball Evolution situation or Death Note or any of the various live actions that generally failed. This one definitely broke many people's expectations. I remember being on Twitter and various other social media and being shat on for saying, hey, guys, like, Oda's here, it's gonna be great, and, I'm an OG One Piece dick rider from the start, man. I own it, man. I am a fucking One Piece jocker, man. And I knew from the beginning this was going to be great for a few reasons. Obviously, as I mentioned, Oda, but, once I saw the directors and the people taking part, even the actors having an actual passion for the series, and even those that have not seen, One Piece or read it, they took the time to read it and to get familiar with the story to learn their roles better. So, we're going to go more into the details of the pros and the cons, but I'm just going to give you my review, the Galaxy Shogun's review, on the first season of the One Piece live action. So, how about we start with some pros? So, as I mentioned before, the casting. I couldn't believe when the casting came out that there were some people being extremely negative. Well, actually, I could believe it. People suck. But my point is, I couldn't believe that people, could not see, the blank slate that a lot of these actors were. We had a few actors that looked, closer from jump. I think Usopp, you couldn't have casted a better Usopp, physically. Sure, he's not going to have a crazy, long Pinocchio animated nose, but, the facial features, that is what I imagined my brother Usopp to look like. As well as Nami, even Emily, who's the actor, Jacob being Usopp and Emily being the actor for Nami, her features were soft, pretty, trusting, but she also looked like she could kind of turn on that, sneakiness. I don't know Emily. I'm just saying, from her photo, I saw a blank slate. Many people looked at the casting specifically for, let's say, Sanji, Zoro, and even Luffy, and just could not imagine them as the Straw Hats. And I think, frankly, man, and I'm not trying to be a gatekeeper here, though it's important at times, I think that, to keep any fandom, relevant and accountable, there needs to be at least a little bit. The fans that said that nonsense and that were overly negative were probably new fans, or, they're edgelords or people that didn't start the series. They're not people that had a long connection with the series. They could be people that were hoping that it failed, even with Gear 5, you had Naruto fans, Attack on Titan fans, Dragon Ball fans, tons of people, this video isn't to throw shots at them, that video's coming out soon, hit that subscribe button, but, there were obviously people that had their own agendas going into this live action. It didn't matter if it did well or badly, they were going to say it did badly, hence some of the review bombing that happened on, I think, IMBD and some other review sites. But overall, the casting, we can say it without a shadow of a doubt now when we see the designs, when we see, outfits being adapted from, cover pages and stuff like that. This cast was phenomenal. The casting director, and obviously Oda had a big part in that as well, pay that man more money and put him in charge of every live action because he was able to get the essence of these characters. The aura of Zoro, the charisma of Sanji, the lovableness of Usopp, even though, he is kind of written to be a bit of an annoying character. He was able to see a blank slate and bring actors in that could perfectly emulate those characteristics. So I'm going to go ahead and give it an excellent for casting. Seriously, 2 thumbs up and my toes up. Next, the battle choreography. For those of you who don't know, Makinyu is Sonny Chiba's son. I know at this point, everyone's a super fan of him because, he's a dope guy and, he's easy on the eye, so a lot of the ladies or a lot of people in general, whatever your orientation is, are paying a little bit more attention to Makin now. But Makinyu Arata is the son of Sonny Chiba, and Sonny Chiba was in Kill Bill, and he's a famous martial artist from Japan, right? So, he's legendary. It's no surprise that his son is going to have some chops too with choreography and fighting. And Makinyu, also, was in Rurouni Kenshin. I forgot the character he played. He was in Kenshin, but he was a main part. I think he was the villain in the movie, and then obviously he was Seiya in Knights of the Zodiac, Saint Seiya, as well as other things too. So Makinyu is not new to live actions. Can you imagine Zoro and Okuyasu being played by the same character? Like, that should go to show you the range that Makinyu has. And he also did, I think, some like dramas and slice of life stuff too. So he's a very popular young actor. I think he's about 26 years old. So he's doing very well for himself, and he has the chops for fighting. I think that Zoro's choreography in fighting in the show was definitely a highlight. The battle with Mihawk, or him taking out Mr. Seven in the first episode. I think that every time Zoro took out a blade, it was exciting. So that's definitely a thing. I also really enjoyed the choreography in general. The fight choreography, like Sanji's kicks, they looked dope. He was like flying, doing jump kicks, doing crazy stuff like that. We got to give a shout out to Taz. Like, people were calling him Eminem when they saw the casting as him for Sanji, and he wasn't getting a lot of respect. But Taz, first of all, I just want to put it out there in case you guys are listening. Hi, One Piece. Cast me as like Chopper or something, or caster, director, whoever listens to these things. But specifically with Taz, like, I can't believe that people just didn't see Sanji. Like, you put a wig on him and he was already Sanji, but you had people saying like, "Oh, this guy looks like Eminem. Like, how's he gonna be Sanji? Sanji's supposed to be suave. He's supposed to be this and this. This guy looks like like Eminem," which isn't exactly the vibes that Sanji gives off, right? But I always believed that Taz was going to do really well. You could find me in any of my socials, like, defending from day one that the cast was going to be fantastic. So this is not me. But what, the community was saying, and some people outside of the community, people just, like to hate things. They were saying, like, oh, like, how's he going to be able to do X and Y? Well, he showed you, didn't he? Because Taz not only became a black belt during the production, he also, became very, 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 very proficient at cooking for the cast during it, being in character as Sanji during the recording of the series, as well as, becoming a black belt and really being able to put some serious damage on them heavy bags with his kicks. Like, I don't know if anyone follows Taz Skylar's Instagram. I'm pretty sure it's like Taz Skylar or something like that, but, look at this guy's kicks. This guy's legit, bro. Like, I would think that he had some sort of martial arts background before. I don't know if that's true or not, but he was a standout for me in terms of the commitment to his role, how much he looked like Sanji. I'll get to it later in terms of, like, the accent of him being British. Like, it makes sense. I like his accent, kind of having a roadman Sanji. Considering that Zeph was, like, British in this, it makes sense that Sanji was raised by him and would have that accent. Sanji's technically supposed to be French, and, he's talking in a roadman like British accent, kind of, which was raw. I like that. I like seeing Taz like talking kind of a roadman Sanji. Sanji's like my favorite Straw Hat, as well as like Robin and Luffy. So I was really looking at that character, and overall I would say I was really impressed. So hats off to Taz. I needed to take a moment to say that you absolutely killed it, my guy. Keep it up. So, good battle scenes. Specifically, Luffy's, honestly, I probably enjoyed the least. The stretching looked good. They made the stretching look good, but I think overall, like, the choreography you could have got, like, it should have felt a little bit more fast-paced. I think Luffy's a very hard character to emulate in live-action format, but I think, obviously, overall, which will bring me to my next point, Iñaki also did a very great job. Like, I wish we got more Usopp as well. Usopp was perfectly casted. I won't spend a lot more time talking about that, but Usopp, like, the comedy, like, Jacob, you're dope. And obviously, Emily, like, come on. Emily is the community's queen at this point because she's such a big fan and she's so amazing, such an amazing actor. Obviously loves anime, loves manga, loves One Piece, and it was just an absolute pleasure to watch any scene that Nami was in. So I think that mostly covers everybody. In terms of, like, other things that were really good, the bounty intros, like, whoever decided to put those bounty intros in there, excellent job, because they were hype as fuck, especially like the Mihawk introduction. Like, I think I fucking jizzed in my pants. Like, it was good as hell. Like, it was real good, like, actually. And then even like Buggy, like, it was real menacing. Like, I can't believe that I could talk about casting and not specifically give a shout out again to Buggy and Mihawk. Like, I could spew all day on how good that casting was. And even Shanks, though I think that the costume design, his hat was a little too small in the early East Blue scenes with like young Luffy, but other than that, like, Shanks, that's what I would imagine Shanks to be, so, spot on for that. So aside from that, the Easter eggs for future events, like, they obviously have to change some things for plot reasons to make things flow smoother. I get it. Like, you got to do it sometimes. Overall, I was good with a lot of that. We had Bing Sake, like, really early hearing that. We heard We Are, which was really good to hear back to that. And of course, like, the costumes, we got to see what some characters going to look like later down the road. We saw bounty posters of, like, Bellamy, of, I think, Cavendish. So it was, like, really cool to see characters that come much, much later being, like, teased this early on in pure Oda fashion. So, but I think that, like, for this being a mostly faithful adaptation, and having all those good things that I mentioned, one thing that really stands out aside from the casting for me are the sets. This production was worth more than Game of Thrones per episode. Like, the total production of it was worth more than Game of Thrones. You have to go into it with that sort of mindset and budget when thinking of the world's greatest manga or the world's best-selling comic book. Seriously, like, we are so giants in the world of fiction. Us as One Piece fans, Oda and his creation. the fact that we had the opportunity to bring this to a wider audience for people that maybe never watched One Piece, it was a absolutely fantastic chance, and I think that, you know, we took it with respect. Every part of it was taken with care, and we appreciate that. It was a mostly faithful adaptation. Obviously, once I get to cons, I'll talk about some parts that I didn't like, but I would say it was condensed well overall. So for 8 episodes, like the world building that they were able to do, you know, I have very little complaints, which we'll get to. One thing that I would say as well is that, you know, the sets that they did, unreal. I could go over this over and over again and tell you how beautiful the sets are, but Arlong Park, the Baratier, like even, you know, Syrup Village, like everything was great. You know, the shipyard, you know, 10 out of 10. So that's my thing there. So anyways, that kind of closes off for the pros, and we got a bit of cons, and this is just my personal nitpicking, so don't kill me in the comments. You know, but here we go. So the Garp subplot. Let's get the elephant out of the room. I was mixed on if it would be a great idea to have Garp and his relationship with Luffy introduced so early. You know, Kobe and Helmeppo, again, great casting there, both characters, especially Helmeppo. I think Helmeppo, I actually liked him better than Kobe. His acting was just so stuck up and stuff like that. You know, I'm supposed to be on cons, and here I am praising it more. That's just how, like, good I think it was, honestly. But, you know, the Garp subplot, it made sense for, like, Kobe and Helmeppo and their training, but, you know, it did feel a little early and a little forced at times. Like, Garp just kind of seemed a little too mean. Like, near the end of the series, he's, like, acting a little more Garp-like, but, you know, he was scary. He was there for Roger's execution, and, like, I just think overall that felt a little forced at times. The Garp subplot, and I think Garp needed to be a little bit more chill. And Luffy needed to be a little bit more serious at times. This is a little con that I have for some of the scenes with Luffy. Like, I think to capture Luffy's essence, Inyaki's the perfect person. I love him. I think he'd be a super cool person. But I think that, you know, especially as we continue, there's going to be some scenes where we need to get a more serious vibe. And that was maybe my biggest concern going into it from Inyaki as Luffy. Like, he can do the goofy stuff right, but, like, how are the serious parts going to come out? And for the most part, I think they were good. But I would say that, you know, I want to see Inyaki really sell that feeling, that drive, that energy that Luffy has, like that, you know, you fuck with my friends, it's over, like that sort of stuff. I know that probably sounds cringe, but that's what Luffy's all about, man. You know, like he at points showed glimmers of what I would like expect from that, but overall I think that there's some room for improvement with the serious tones and the serious scenes that are definitely going to come. Like, and I think that he's going to grow as an actor. Like, this is a huge role for him, and I'm happy overall. I don't think I can imagine another Luffy, but I think that the serious scenes need to be taken with a lot of care going forward. So the next point, the Fishman designs. I said the costumes and stuff were great, the sets were great, but I'm just going to keep this one short and sweet. The Fishman designs were a miss. They made them look like monsters and ugly, and I know we're supposed to, like, at this point, not really sympathize with them too much, but, you know, we paralleled them a lot with, like, minorities, specifically me being, like, a black person. I felt like a lot of things Arlong was saying sounded like some, like, radical, like, you know, Black Panther stuff, or, you know, I'm not going to get into this whole racial thing, but I heard what he was saying, and I felt like there were some parallels with, like, you know, some real-life groups and some other things like that, right? So, you know, I just didn't feel great about them making his design. Like, to be fair, like, the fishmen are fishmen, like, they're fish, but if you look at the anime, like, they don't particularly look grotesque. A lot of the fishmen in this series looked grotesque, with the exception of I think the host at the Baratier. He looked like kind of regular, but Arlong and his boys, like, all of the designs for them, even Chu, like, they just snapped. Like, I wish that they had taken a more natural approach for the fishmen, and maybe they will change that design. Not to mention, like, Arlong looks like he's never benched in his life. Like, the actor, I'm pretty sure, is like a pretty fit guy, but once he puts on like all the makeup and all the stuff, like the body proportions just didn't look right. I think that there's a photo of somebody fixing like the Fishman designs and like the bodies of them, and it would have made it look a lot better. So, you know, the Fishman designs definitely one of the bigger things I thought could use some improvement. The next, this will be controversial. This will be controversial for sure. Nami and Zoro shoehorning, like Nami x Zoro shoehorning. I think there were certain scenes where like the sexual tension between like Nami and Zoro just continued to rise, and there's just weird scenes where it's just the both of them just kind of flirting with each other, and I never got the vibe in the anime or manga that that's what, you know, and like, obviously, like, needless to say, like, look at me, it's like a One Piece channel basically, other than the occasional video trashing Attack on Titan coming soon, look out for that. But, you know, I did not feel that way, like, at any point of the story, that there was any sort of sexual tension between Nami and Zoro, and I did definitely feel that way during the live action, which was, it felt a little forced. I don't know if there's some agendas going on there with some of the directors or the script writers or screenrunners or whatever you call them, but I think that was an unnecessary part or element that was added to the story, no doubt. So, speaking of things that were unnecessary, let's talk about Arlong Park, because it seems that a lot of my criticisms come from there. They did a pretty decent job with the backstory. I know they changed Belmere admitting that she had kids. I think that that didn't make a great amount of sense, but at the same time, like, it's not too different. Ultimately, in the anime, she did kind of come to that same conclusion, admitting, like, they are her kids. Like, she couldn't say that they weren't her kids based on the whole situation. But I think the backstory missed the mark in a few places. Like, we saw a lot of Nami suffering, but I think it missed the mark about the type of person Belmere was, and just how strong that bond needed to be, and just how similar Nami and Belmere ultimately were. And again, 8 episodes, we're not going to be able to adapt everything. Overall, I wouldn't say it was bad, but I was just saying, like, we can maybe look at that. Specifically, Nojiko hating Nami. Like, why even give her a tattoo then? Isn't the point of the tattoo so she, like, can be like Nami, because she knew what Nami was fighting alone, but she got the tattoo in, like, solidarity to say, like, hey, Nami, like, we know we're going at this alone. You can do it. Like, we support you from afar. Like, we trust you. In this, she finds out late. She's kind of mean. I think she was actually a good actor, Nojiko. Like, nothing on her. I'm just saying, like, the way that she was written was just, like, she's just being mean to Nami. This guy's really beautiful right now. I'm sorry. I'm random bad attention span. It's, like, very gradiented. It's very nice. And, like, I don't think that there needed to be any animosity between Nami and the villagers in the anime or the live action. So, Nojiko hating Nami and still having that tattoo, like, that's just I guess a reference or an Easter egg to the source material, because obviously I understand that the live action is not the anime or the manga. I understand that it is an adaptation in a different way. Some things are going to be condensed, things are going to change, but I thought that we missed the mark with Nojiko hating Nami, because for anyone that knows the significance of that tattoo that she still had, it just made a lot of things a little weird for me. So, Sanji versus Kurobi. I mentioned earlier that I love Sanji, but Sanji specifically, he had a weak fight. Zoro and Sanji kind of did stuff because Hachi was omitted, and I'll talk about some characters that were omitted in a second. But, it started off cool, but when Sanji did, like, the really badass scene in the anime where he's like, Collier, like, blah, 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 like, flanchette, like, beating the shit out of Kurobi. Taz, my only criticism to you is your delivery on those lines. It didn't feel Sanji-like. Like, for some reason, like, it... Man, I'm coughing here. Criticizing Sanji is literally making me sick. You hear these guys? But anyways, like, the way that he was expressing those lines, I don't know if it's just his accent, like, it just did not feel right. It just, he had been doing so well otherwise, but I just really, really, really did not like the inflections and the way that he vocalized those lines. I know that this is a big nitpick, but again, this is my channel, so I'm telling you how I feel. I don't know if any other big Sanji fan was a little disappointed at the climax of Kurobi versus Sanji, because it's so badass in the anime and the manga, but in the live action, I think it missed the mark a little bit. But, overall, Taz, like, you're great. I'm just saying, like, I wish they had directed you to say it in a different way, because it didn't sound as great as it did in any of the other formats. Well, obviously, only the anime, because you can't hear manga, but you get my point. Speaking of missed things, Johnny, Yosaku, Hachi. All funny characters, all characters that could have added stuff. I'm hoping they show up at another point, though I'm not sure how Johnny and Yosaku could show up unless they show up in Loketown. You could cast me for either Johnny or Yosaku. I will fly to, South Africa or wherever they're filming. Like, put me in the film if anyone's watching. Anyways, enough shameless plug. But any of those 3 characters are, like, funny characters, and they probably should have been in it. Like, I don't think it took too much away from the experience, except for Hachi, given that, Zoro, didn't really get a fight. Like, he fought with Kurobi and Sanji a little bit, and we got to see the rivalry. And also, to that point, too, while we're talking about Zoro, like, I think he suffered from the same thing as Garp. He's a little bit too serious at times. Just a bit too serious at times. Zoro in the manga is kind of a goofball. He's kind of, like, he's a badass, but he's, like, funny. Like, dumb shit happens to him. And I hope that, Makimu can, portray that. Like, I enjoyed this portrayal of Zoro, but I think it is, decently different from how Zoro is in the manga and the anime. I think this is a much more serious version of Zoro, which I appreciate. Like, he's really killing niggas, but at the same time, the goofiness, we do appreciate that at times too. So just, as we go into season 2, which I'm going to be dropping a video on soon, because we did get that announcement today, let's just up the goofiness on Zoro and Garp just a little bit. So, all of these cons, I understand why. Again, I sound like a broken record, but it was 8 episodes to cover, like, 36 to 40 episodes of material. I understand we're not going to get everything. Overall, I'm going to say, like, I was really impressed. This was like an 8 out of 10 for me, and I was expecting, like, a 7. If we had gotten a 7, like, I think it was a massive success, given the failures of other live actions, but I think we easily got an 8. Some could even say 8.5, but for me, like, certain things like the Fishman design, it just felt like it could have been an easy thing to fix. Someone should have just been like, hey, these costumes, the designs for the Fishmans, they don't look great. They overall don't look great. Plus, you know, some things in Arlong Park, but overall, you know, an 80% is an A, people. Like that's a really good grade, and I'm glad we showed all those fucking haters in the comments that One Piece is friggin' on top. So that's been it for me. It's been about 25 minutes of me ranting on my pros and cons. I hope that you enjoyed this video, you enjoyed my mindset and how I present things. If so, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me. We're trying to grow that channel, but that has been the Galaxy Shogun Astros review of One Piece live action season 1. If this video gets really popular somehow, and you know I see that there's some traction, I will go through every episode with a comb and tell you the things I liked and I didn't like. But you know, at a bare minimum, I think this should suffice for my thoughts, because obviously I've been very excited for this. Like on my personal Twitter, I'm going crazy. You know, I'm fighting people in the comments that were talking shit about it. I had like 20 guys in, I think, Tokyo Otaku Mode's comments, and if I could find screenshots, I'll post it. Just shit talking me, saying like I'm a fanboy, like I'm this and this. And that's, yeah, I am a fanboy, but you know. People today have a big problem with talking about things they don't know about. And, you know, if you don't understand the love that Oda has for his IP and the protection that he's going to have against doing certain things, like even the whole Garp thing, supposedly he didn't want to do that but was kind of convinced over it, but he kind of seen that some people would like it and some people didn't. I knew it was going to be great. From the casting to Oda's stuff and the videos they were posting leading up to the actual release. I knew we were looking at greatness. So, again, everybody involved with the One Piece live action, congratulations on Season 2, and congratulations on a great Season 1, and call me, because I would make a great chopper and or anyone you need me to be in the series. So, again, this has been your boy, Astro, aka the Galaxy Shogun. If you liked anything I had to say, if you have any comments, agree with me, please leave a comment down below, hit that like button, hit that sub button, and watch some more videos if you got some time. Anyways, it's been your boy. I'm out. Peace.